95 million naira, and you said nothing? And you couldn't help even when I lost my job? Asa folded her arms. I told you from the beginning, Jide. My money is my money. Your money was for both of us. Jidena stepped back, shaking. I can't believe this. I sold my father's house for you. Is that my business? You should have thought twice. Did I ask you to? So that's it. That's what you have to say as once upon a time, in the beautiful city of Oka, there lived a young man named Jidena. Jidena was not the richest man in the city, but he lived well. He had a good job and a clean apartment, and more than anything else, he had a very generous heart. Jidena worked as a consultant in an international company. His life was quite simple and full of promise until he met Asa. They met at a small social event. It was a naming ceremony of one of his colleagues, and Asa was there. They bumped into each other while Jide was trying to walk into the venue. Ah, sorry, Asa said, holding her cup of zobo. They locked eyes briefly. He smiled. That was all it took. Later that evening, they ended up talking. Not about anything special at first, just casual conversation, scattered with jokes and the kind of laughter that makes strangers feel like old friends. Jidena learned that she was a youth corper serving in one of the ministries nearby. Bright, charming, full of life. She told stories with her hands and smiled with her whole face. And when she laughed, she leaned in like she was leading you into a secret world. Jidena liked her instantly. They started seeing each other often after that. Asa wasn't very familiar with Oka, so every weekend, Jidena would pick her up and show her around the city. To Jidena, Asa was refreshing. She reminded him of joy, raw and uncomplicated. And he was good to her. He bought her lunch when she had long days, helped her fix her laptop when it froze, sent money when her copper friends needed help with transport. He was the kind of man who didn't wait to be asked. He gave freely, and Asa loved him so much for that. But as weeks turned to months, things began to change. Asa initially started with small requests. I want a new wig. I want a better phone. Could you buy me a good perfume? Good original ones, she would say. Jidena didn't mind. The money was there. He wasn't a multi-millionaire, but he could afford to make her happy. And if spending a little more brought that sparkle to her eyes, then what harm could it do? But the requests didn't stop. They grew bigger, louder, more demanding. Asa started comparing herself to her friends. Girls with men who were sugar daddies who gave them millions weekly. Girls who traveled to Dubai, South Africa, America for fun. She would say things like, babe, if only you knew how embarrassing it is to walk into a salon and not be able to afford the same hair as your friends. And Jidena, who had always been calm, would nod gently and say, okay, send me the account details, I'll sort it out. Because love to him meant giving, and sacrifice was proof. He didn't notice it at first, the way her gratitude became entitlement, the way her smile only showed up when a new package arrived. He brushed it off, told himself she was still young, still figuring life out. She was a copper after all. He was older, more stable. It was his job to lift her, to guide her, to show her the kind of love that didn't shrink when things got tough. He didn't see her demands as red flags. He saw them as opportunities, opportunities to prove he was the man he said he would be. One Sunday afternoon, after a quiet lunch, Jidena turned to Asa and took her hand. You know I love you, right? He said. She nodded, distracted, her eyes on her phone. I mean it, he continued. You see, all I want to do is give you the best things of life because that's what you deserve. Asa looked up, then smiled. I trust you, she said. He believed her. 3 months later, he proposed. It wasn't loud or dramatic, just a quiet dinner, soft jazz in the background and a small velvet box. He opened it with trembling fingers and said, Asa, will you marry me? She stared at the ring for a moment, long enough to make his heart skip, and then she nodded. Yes. He smiled. He had no idea that this promise, the one that came from the deepest part of his heart, would soon cost him everything he owned. The first few weeks after the engagement was sweet. Asa had that newly engaged glow. She showed off her ring at every chance, stretching her fingers while talking, turning her hands slowly when greeting her friends. On Instagram, she posted vague captions like, he asked, and I said yes. Forever looks good on me. Jidena watched her and smiled. He liked that she was proud of him. He liked that she was happy. But as wedding plans began, so did the pressure. Asa wanted a wedding that would make a statement. Babe, it's not just any wedding, no. This is our special day. I remember you promised me the world. This day has to reflect the best of us. Asa didn't spare any time, not even money. Every day, he would either send Jide pictures or show him pictures of dresses from Turkey, souvenirs from Dubai, all decors that looked like they belonged in a movie. Jidenna blinked at the screen. Asa, all this will cost millions. She pouted just slightly. Honey, that's what you promised now. You said you take good care of me, that you give me the best, right? Or are you saying I should settle? Jidenna looked at her and smiled softly. Don't worry, my love. Whatever it takes, we'll make it happen. And just like that, he emptied his savings. The money went into the wedding dress, the layered cakes, and the endless little details Asa had set her heart on. But when it was time to pay for the event hall, Jidenna hit a wall. His account balance could no longer keep up. Still, there was a silver lining. His promotion was just around the corner. With it would come a better salary, more stability, and perhaps a bit of breathing room. So, he turned to a few colleagues at work, explaining his situation and asking if they could lend him some money just to bridge the gap. But they said no. One of them even laughed and said, Jide, we love you, but we can't sponsor this madness now. Their words stung, but Jidenna didn't give up. He wanted Asa to be happy. He wanted her to know without a doubt that he loved her deeply, that he could give her the kind of life she dreamed of. So he went to the bank, holding the only asset he had in his life, his father's house, the one he had inherited as the only son. He used it as collateral for a loan. The house was all he had left, his only inheritance. But love, he believed, was worth it. When everything was finally paid for, the venue, the outfits, the glamour, Asa was overjoyed. Her eyes sparkled, her smile stretched wide. And Jidenna, he looked at her glowing with excitement and told himself, this is what love looks like. The wedding came, and it was everything Asa had dreamed of. White orchids flowing in crystal bowls. A live saxophonist played as she walked down the aisle in a lace dress imported from Istanbul. The cake had 5 layers, each one representing a different country Asa wanted to visit for their honeymoon. Guests clapped, cameras flashed. Her friends screamed with envy. And Jidenna, he smiled. Not because he was living his own dream, but because she was. He watched her dance, watched her laugh, watched her toss her bouquet like a celebrity. And for a moment, he believed it was worth it. All the loans, all the sacrifices, all the quiet fear in his chest that whispered, what if I've gone too far? What if I've gone too far? Were now pushed down. Jidenna smiled again because this was his wife now. And love, he believed, was about showing up, even when it hurts. Married life began like a photo album, pressure on the surface, full of posed smiles and filtered memories. But behind the frames, the cracks had already begun to show. Asa didn't change. If anything, the wedding had only crowned her expectations. Every week, there was a new request. Honey, I saw this bag online. Oh, it's 450k, but I really love it. Please, can you get it for me? And even though Jidenna was still quietly struggling to keep up with the loan repayments, he would reach into the little he had managed to save and spend it just to keep her smiling. He didn't complain. Not when she asked for a new wig. Not when she insisted on changing her entire wardrobe. I'm a married woman now, she would say. I can't be looking like a copper. One evening, after a long day at the office, Juliana sat beside her on the couch and asked gently, Asa, now that you finished service, don't you think it's time you found something to do, even if it's a small job, just something to bring in a little extra home? Her response came sweetly. Work? Me? Ha! No, honey. I can't work for anyone. That life is not for me. And honestly, what's the point when you are here to provide for us? Jidena sighed but said nothing more. He didn't want to argue. But deep inside, something in him began to ache. She didn't want to work, but she wants everything. Asa's request never stopped. He was trying truly, but each week passed like a whisper, and still he couldn't make any meaningful payment towards his loan. Then came the blow. It was a Friday evening. Jidena had just returned home and was removing his shoes when his phone rang. It was his colleague from work, Emeka. Jide, did you get the mail? Emeka screamed on the phone, his voice frantic. What mail are you talking about? Why are you shouting like that? Jidena asked, confused. Ah, you didn't get it? They've released all of us though. They sacked us, everybody in our department. Jidena froze. That's not possible. I'm due for promotion next month now. Promotion? You're talking of promotion. Check your mail, brother. Check your mail now. The call ended. Hands trembling, Jidena opened his inbox. There it was. Due to internal restructuring, we regret to inform you. He couldn't finish reading it. The words blurred on the screen. He dropped his phone and stared at the wall frozen. He could not breathe. Just like that, his job was gone. The office that had once been his pride, the salary that had carried their home, the job that had funded her dreams, all gone. And with it, the question that filled his mind. What will happen now? How do I pay the loans? How do I take care of my wife? He didn't tell Asa immediately. For a full week, he pretended. He still woke up like he was going to work, dressed up, and left the house with a food flask. He would go and sit down in a quiet fast food restaurant all day, scrolling through job boards, whispering quiet prayers beneath his bed, Father Lord, give me another job. It wasn't until Saturday morning that he gathered the courage. He sat beside her, held her hand and said, Babe, I have something to tell you. I lost my job a week ago. Asa blinked. When? A week ago. She pulled her hand away and stood up slowly. Are you just telling me now? Why would you hide something so serious from me, eh? She shouted. I didn't know how to say it to you, he replied softly. You know I don't want to scare you. But Asa didn't respond. She simply walked into her bedroom and shut the door behind her. No words of comfort, no hug, and no show of love. That night, Asa didn't come to bed until past midnight. She lay beside him, scrolled through her phone as if nothing had changed. Jidena wanted to speak, but the lump in his throat sat heavy. That was how the silence began. A silence that stretched across days, weeks, then months. As the days rolled on, the debts began to breathe down his neck. He sold his car, he sold his gadgets, anything that still held value. He sold it all off. Then cut down on food, on outings, on clothes. But still it wasn't enough. Soon, the bank came asking for the loan. The first day they came, Master had called him on the phone, crying that some men were threatening to throw their things out because they were owing their bank. Jidena went to the bank and pleaded that they be giving him months to sort things out. That week, Jidena sat Asa down and said, I'm sorry, my wife. I'm really trying. I've been applying for jobs, doing small things here and there, but nothing is working. He looked at her, eyes tired. Please, we'll have to move out of this place. Asa looked up from her phone. Move? From here to where? I've told a few friends to help us search for, even if it's a two-bedroom apartment. Once we find, we'll sell a few things to pay the rent and move. It's just until we settle things out, my love. Please. Then Asa said, There's this two-bedroom apartment a friend mentioned to me. Okay, send me the address. Let me go and make inquiries about it. She simply nodded, picked up her phone, and made a phone call. The house was modest, no marble tiles, no fancy decor, but it was neat, livable, and quiet. When Jidena went to inspect it, the agent shook his hand with a warm smile. Moga, you're lucky. Oh. This kind of place, they last. The landlady, she dey very picky. But your wife, she handled everything well. E be like say na her good friend get am. Jidena chuckled, a little embarrassed. She has her ways, he replied, and just like that, they moved into the apartment. The new life broke Jidena in so many ways, but not completely. A month after their move, he found another job in a small firm. It came with a smaller pay, but it was something. To make up the difference, he took on weekend work too, driving for a logistics company. It wasn't easy, but it helped him breathe. He would leave home before sunrise and return after dark. By then, Asa would already be in bed or gone. Asa still refused to work. I told you, Jide, I can't work under anybody. I'm not built for that. She wasn't joking. Even as he juggled two jobs, she continued to ask for things. Baby, my cream is almost finished. I can't use just any brand. Honey, there's no salt in the house, so to cook. Honey, I need new underwears. My pants is all torn and they are very old. And because he didn't want to argue, Jidena found a way to meet every need, cutting his meals, selling off his shoes, doing side jobs even on Sundays. It wore him down slowly, but he said nothing. One afternoon, Asa walked into the house holding a brand new iPhone. Jidena stared at it for a long moment before asking, Where did you get that? She smiled. My dad sent it. He felt sorry for me. Jidena slowly nodded, even though the story didn't sit well with him. Asa's father hadn't called her in a long time. She started leaving the house more often. Sometimes she would say she was visiting her mother. Other times she didn't explain at all. Jidena would come home late, tired, hungry, only to meet an empty house and a cold kitchen. Sometimes Asa would leave a note that read, The money wasn't enough, so I couldn't cook. Jidena stopped arguing. He stopped arguing, he stopped asking questions. Each time he tried, her answers left him more confused than comforted. As the months passed, their rent became due. Jidena didn't know where to begin. He had used most of his earnings to repay the loans he took during their move, hoping Asa would eventually step in, get a job and help out. But she didn't. When he brought it up, she answered coldly, You're the man of the house, aren't you? That was all. One morning, there was a knock on the door. A man handed him a letter. It was a formal notice from the lawyer. 1 month notice to quit. The bailiff who delivered the letter came with an agent. The agent shook his head and said, Oga, the landlady is very angry. Oh. You better look for money. She said if you don't pay, she will go to court. But you, how come you didn't even plan your rent? It's your first year now. Wow. Tidenas just stared at both of them. That night, he sat on the edge of the bed, holding the letter in both hands. The past year had hit him hard. He thought of how life used to be. Tears rolled down his eyes. If only I hadn't been so financially reckless. He folded the paper and placed it on the table. Asa was in the bathroom, singing softly to herself. Days passed, then weeks. Jidena kept running around, searching for help, for rent, for anything. But nothing worked. One evening, in desperation, he turned to Asa. Do you know anyone that can lend us money to pay this rent? Asa looked up confused. How am I supposed to know? I don't know. And I can't tell my parents. They will say my husband is irresponsible. Juliana was heartbroken, but there was nothing he could do. A few days later, another letter came. This time, it was final. Notice to vacate within 7 days. He picked it up and didn't blink. He laid it gently on the center table, sat down and leaned back. He didn't call Asa. She was in the bedroom doing her nails, laughing at something on her phone. Later that evening, he was fixing the curtain rod in their sitting room. The screws had come loose again. He balanced one foot on a broken stool, holding the rod with one hand and his breath with another. As he turned to reach for the pliers, Asa's phone buzzed on the cushion beside him. The screen lit up. A bank alert. He wasn't going to look, but the words on the screen pulled his eyes like magnets. Rent payment 850,000, 22 Idaho Street. He froze. That was the address. He picked up the phone, opened the notification, and then he saw it clearly. The rent payment. The sender, his eyes moved to the balance. 95,856,000 naira, 92 kobo. He scrolled. The name on the account was Asa. Just then another message popped up. Ma, the new tenants just sent their payment for the two-bedroom at 22 Idoho. Please confirm receipts. Jidena froze. Asa, his wife was the landlady. The one who watched him cry at night was the one sending lawyers to threaten him. Just then, she walked into the sitting room holding a pink shopping bag, something expensive again. Jidena didn't speak at first. He held up the phone like evidence. What is this? She paused. The smile vanished. Why are you holding my phone? What is this, Asa? She glanced at the screen, looked away, then back again. Jide, it's not what you think. Then explain it. I was going to tell you. It's not, I didn't plan to hide it. You're the landlady of this building. You own this house. Yes. My dad gave it to me as a wedding gift, but you let me sell my car, my gadgets. You watch me hustle, beg, break, and you had this house all along. You're also like that. Calm down, you're shouting. I took a loan for our wedding, Asa. Tell me what it was like. Immediately, her tone shifted. I didn't force you to do anything, Ojide. Wait, Asa, you had almost 100 million naira, 95 million naira, and you said nothing. That money is my life savings, and you couldn't help even when I lost my job. Asa folded her arms. I told you from the beginning, Jide. My money is my money. Your money was for both of us. Jidena stepped back, shaking. I can't believe this. I sold my father's house for you. Is that my business? You should have thought twice. Did I ask you to? So that's it, That's what you have to say, Asa. She looked him in the eye. Since you want to know everything, I've been planning to file for divorce since last month. Jidena's eyes widened. What did you just say? Yes, Asa repeated. You think I'll be stuck with a man working 2 jobs and still can't pay rent? He was breathing hard. The walls felt like they were closing in. Asa, you're the cruelest person I've ever known. Asa smirked. Then leave me and my cruelty, because I can't be with a broke, low-minded man like you. Do you really mean that, Asa? You want me to leave this house that you've been using to humiliate me? Yes, leave it. It's mine after all. I don't want you in it anymore. I don't even want this drama anymore. Jidena looked at her. Okay, I can't believe this. Believe it all. Jidena stood there for a long moment. Then he walked into the bedroom, packed a few things in his bag, and stepped out. Asa didn't stop him. She picked up her phone and texted someone, smiling. That night, the house was silent again, but this time, there was no one left to hear it.